Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Chemistry, the genesis of natural chemistry. Let me start with the prime objective of my life, with which entire videos are being made. We all want to be perfectly physically healthy, free from all the physical diseases, the perfect emotional stability, material wealth and prosperity to the required needs of every aspect of the self, family, and the world as such. But need based, not greed based. The right education and knowledge with the contentment, impeccable wisdom is what is required to create a new uniform syllabus for the entire world, which every student from school, college to the university to the world has a uniform syllabus without any fault of any nature is what we are looking for. The second thing, a genuine commitment of social health, religious tolerance, respect for every religion, try to unite and make science as a religion, spiritual science as a religion, where everything uniform, acceptable to everybody around the world. No likes and dislikes is something which is good for everything. Let's concentrate only on that. Let's not have any hate, hatred, or anything of any nature. That is another prime objective of this particular work. Then spiritual evolution, enlightenment, with which the entire knowledge, agyan to gyan to vigyan to pragyan to akhandata, is seen with a crystal clear light, and that is Divyank. And the eternal blissful comfortable life for everyone. This is where I would again repeat Vidya dadati vinyam vinyat yati patratam patrata cha dhan utpati cha dharam cha sukham. If we want the sukh for everybody around the world, we got to give impeccable wisdom, and that is what Akhand Vidyashram stands for. The reason for our failure. Do we attain these objectives of life? Let me put it. We fail to attain even a disease-free life in life. We are falling sick from one disease or other. We are like sick, dead people walking around with some deficiency or some defect or the other. What is the reason? The reason is very simple as far as I'm concerned. It is ignorance, inertia. We do not know the perfect knowledge. We have been given the wrong knowledge, which we cannot apply in making ourselves perfect in each and every situation throughout the world. Lack of right knowledge, deficient knowledge of different subjects and objects, wrong human anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. We do not know the perfect value of every aspect. We are more concerned about disease model than the perfect human being with the perfect psychology for the perfection of every human being. With that objective, we need to create a new wisdom of impeccable wisdom for the entire world. That is the objective of Akhand Vidyashram. That is the objective of the chemistry itself. I have already spoken about concept to clear unless until we start from the beginning, we will not be able to understand the concept clearly. So zero is the Sunya concept found in as an Atma, which is well within all of us. So for that matter, every living human being is born spiritual with the embedding impeccable wisdom of indwelling soul, which is Antaratma Kundalini, call it by any name. And the shape of that is zero, and from there all the numbers have come. I have already explained that in my earlier videos. And then from there how we have gone to make Divyank as the number with which the perfect objects are concerned. Now Atma is already been described, it cannot be cut, disturbed, dissolved and otherwise. So we need to become perfect from everything. No deficiency whatsoever, and that is something which I see in stable elements called noble gases, helium, neon, argon, and krypton and xenon are not stable, but helium-4, I call Aditi, is stable, which is our Antaratma. Neon-21 is Gayatri, the one which we see as the soul of solar system and spiral galaxy. Argan-40 is the goddess of entire universe from which everything has come. With that objective, we look up to that which is perfect, from which the perfection has come. Only then perfection will be known. That is the way we are going to move on from perfection to perfection to perfection. Purnam, Purnam, Purnam. Now, this particular statement from Brihad Upanishad, as the Ishopanishad says, everything is perfect, this is full, that is full, from fullness appears fullness. If we take away fullness from fullness, the fullness remains fullness. This statement I have heard since my childhood. I liked, appreciated, but I am very sorry to say the explanation of this given by different people was not as good as what I am telling today. Okay, concept of zero or infinity is there in statement itself. It's a hidden form of zero. Only 0 minus by 0 can be equivalent to 0, and that concept is not seen in any other number. If you divide 1 by 1, you get 1. All the numbers are like that. But 0 divided by 0, you do not get 1. You get only 0. So 0 is complete, minus 0 is complete, and the result will still be a 0. This hard, impeccable wisdom was in this, and this made me realize in this statement itself, wisdom is there, Atma is there, the soul is there. You go back to soul, you get everything the way you want. And then from there we should take things one by one, step by step, it unfolds. That was the beauty. Now in this picture I have shown 0 minus 0 is equal to 0, 0 plus 0, 0 divided by 0, 0 multiplied by 0 is 0. So that is excellent thing by Maharishi Yajnavalkya, but in a very cryptic language, which I have been able to fold, that it is 0 and that's it. And from there all the numbers have come, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then go to 10. And how Divyank was formed, I have explained in my last video, how easily I have been able to make with the geometrical structure to Divyank as the first stage. Every cell is made of 21 parts, solar system is made of 21 parts. To create a next cell you need 21 to 22, and that is the first stage of creation, which is 22 by 21. There are 10 stages of development, is something which I am saying is also consistent from my experience of impeccable wisdom of all the objects and subjects of the world which are perfect. I am very clear. I am talking about perfect core value. I am not talking of relativity or other information. Let's avoid that. Once this is known, we can understand the concept very clearly. And 0.34419, how I had resolved that, I found it, I have already explained in my last videos. From that angle, this particular number, now all the deficiencies we have with Fibonacci sequence, golden ratio, pi and other numbers are 1 by 7. I have already explained. Now keeping that in mind, we have a number called Divyank. In this are the perfect object you can see in the universe. You can see in the spiral galaxy 10 suns. You see in Brahmand, our solar system, 10 bright objects, and you see that in the physical body. It's like macrocosmic to microcosmic to mini cosmic, all are identical when you're looking at the core value. And I'm not talking about disease defective models. Let us be very clear. Let's understand the perfect values, not of the deficiencies at all. Now, converting all the knowledge into symbolic language without any deficiency is another objective of Akhand Vidyashram. And 8th is a mathematics, 9th is a symbolic, and 10th is a graph. Applied mathematics in day-to-day life is something which is new to the world, but we need that so that we create a scientific classified knowledge for the world from A to Z in an integrated way. And that is Akhand Vidyashram's Akhand Sutra. And that entire universe is finally found in this particular thing which I had started as a symbol in 1995 as a Gayatri. And to Akhand, it took me 20 years from 95 to 2050 to understand Divyank. Once I understood Divyank, I understood 20 years time. This has come. And that's it ultimate now for the world to understand that this is how we should do research for the world to create impeccable wisdom for the entire world to lead perfectly from day one to the last. And that's it. Hiranyagarbha is an ancient statement. Hiranya means like a deer, but it also means gold. Garbha is a womb, the golden womb of divine nature. There are two aspects. There is a divine nature in the universe from which all the objects of the universe have come. And I also call mother's womb in which we are produced as cosmic Purusha. Our guardians, our custodians, our Lokpalan are also in Hiranyagarbha. And that's these two things are very clear. Now from that angle, how did it form? Let us move on. As I have told you, the greatest statement I have read, essence I have read, is the entire universe is Nirankar Nirgun Brahman. That means Isomers of Neon-21. It's a formless, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent universe from which everything is there. But unfortunately, this particular object cannot be seen by each and every one. That has been a problem that not been able to understand. You can talk of one, but you can't see. But to seeing, you see the light. And that is Sakar Sargun Brahman, which I would say Isomers of Neon-22. And all the things which the world has today, from atom, elements, molecules to compound to the cells, to the tissues, the tissue organs, to organ system, to the organism, of all the perfect objects are there for us to see. And if you are looking at Rig Veda as a symbolic representation of atom, element, molecules, compounds, and all the gods and goddesses of the universe in Rig Veda on one side, and then periodic table of element is a beautiful example from that angle how science has produced that in a very classified approach. Let us appreciate and build on it. Now, from universe, isomers of neon 21 became neon 22. The light, from that light everything appeared, and the first thing which appeared was Akash-Bhuta, the first inert matter led to that, and that is what is plasmatic state of the matter, are one and large from which everything has originated. And then the 10 stages of devolution from Akash-Bhuta to the elements, and this is all represented in periodic table and also responsible for all the biological life on Mother Earth. Now let me start a comparison between the modern science and the ancient Indian wisdom, and then create a new symbolic representation which is without any fault. Modern science even today recognizes three states of the matter. The solid matter, the earth element, which is 38.1966%, I'm making it clear, and liquid element, water, which is 61.8034%, and then gaseous, same thing in a liquid form, evaporating, expanding. These are the three states which modern science recognizes, and all the research is based on this alone. But as far as the ancient Indian wisdom is concerned, it doesn't talk of three. It talks of 5 states of matter are Panchbhutas. The highest is Akash-Bhuta, quintessence, which could be called a plasmatic state of the matter. That means if you increase the temperature to 1600 degrees centigrade, under conditions, use any atom, element, you will get only energy. And that energy is effulgence, tat savitur varenium, and from there everything has come. If you understand that, that is the first stage, subtle stage, which was created of the creation of the universe with Big Bang from isomers of 921 to isomers of 22, and that is the state. And when with the time it started cooling down, and then came Vayu, air element, then temperature came down, then came to Agni, the fire element. When temperature came down, became a liquid water form, and then solid form. And they have, each one has got, five states have got interchangeable from energy to matter, matter to energy, which science also accepted and ancient Indian wisdom also knew it. Now we are bringing uniformity between science and spirituality of India, and then each state has a two complementary parts, gross and subtle, sthul and suksham. Once both are understood, then we understand these are not five, actually they are 10, and that's it. Now, that five states are also connected with gross and subtle aspects, also connected with sense organs, senses, and higher faculties by and large. If you're looking at hearing, that is Akash-Bhuta, the first one. It is connected with the ear, and clear audience are Shruti by and large, with Vedas are known as. Mantras are known as Shruti. They are divine sounds which we can hear. That is Akash-Bhuta. Once the ears are sharp, we can listen to that and be in tune with universal consciousness. That is what Rigveda is all about. Then touch is the one when Vayu comes, touches us, gives an experience of emotions and other feelings, and that is also touch as well as skin is concerned, is Vayu Bhuta. Then comes sight, which is Agni Bhuta, eyes see, and clairvoyance means Divya Drishti is connect part of it. Once we understand that, we can expect that aspect through our eyes to see how beautiful the world is. We can touch it, we can hear it, then we can also taste it with water. All the taste, digestion, everything is connected with tongue, with water, and we can taste fragrance of the the taste of nectar of all the beautiful things within our body, and that's it. Then smell is connected with Prithvi Bhuta. It is with nose, and of course sugandh, fragrance. These are the 5 to 10 aspects which we got to understand. 5 gross forms can be seen by anybody, felt by anybody, experienced by anybody. But subtle aspects, extrasensory perceptions, which are also 5, that might be little difficult for a common man, but I can tell you from my experience, I never found it difficult. They are higher dimensions of the same thing. When spectrum of light, spectrum of hearing, spectrum of touch increases beyond the level which we are used to it. And that is possible for everybody to do it. We can increase it, we can reduce it. But I would say reducing it to 8 Hz frequency experienced through the brain, you can experience 64 Hz much better than you can experience with higher frequencies. So frequency of earth element, which is vibrant, is from 7.83 to 8.73. And if that vibration you can produce throughout the brain, you are in tune with Akash Kosh, and you know all the Akash-Bhuta, all the things very clearly. I have already explained that one by one. Then come to the question of Yantra Vidya. We are going to convert all the knowledge into Yantra, and from that the starting point is a dot, or the circle, a sphere, and that is Akash. And the symbol for that was already made by Indians as dot. Starting is the smallest. That is what they said before world was created into a form which was tamasic or inertia stage or andhakar. That is the element which is noble gas. When all the focus is in the center, outside light will not be there. I have already explained. And then when it expanded to become a circle and sphere is a beautiful part of Akash. The symbol is a perfect representation. Second thing is when come to the question of first stage of creation, Akash-Bhuta did not have a symbol. Now I converted that symbol into pentagon with 5 angles, each one 108, and the degree of the power of 540. I've already explained, you can see in this particular thing, and that's it. Second symbol is Vayu Bhuta, which is hexagonal elliptical shape, and you can see air element on the earth with the mountains and valleys, one crescent on one side and air on the other side. If you take that, becomes elliptical and also hexagonal, and that was a beautiful symbol which was done by the ancients before itself. Except Akash-Bhuta, which I gave pentagon, this symbol was known, spherical was known. And this is also interesting to see that Augustus Kekule saw the benzene ring in his dream when the tail of the snake is eaten by the fish, and that led to the formation of 6 carbon structures which are hexagonal, which is again beautiful description in the scientific world with which the whole biochemistry changed. That is brilliant. Agni is known as a fire which can always see is going up, is 108 degrees. Vayu is 360. And Vayu plus Agni put together is Akash-Bhuta, which is 540. And here you can easily see going, and each angle is 60 into 3 and 108. And there is no need to read because it's always known as a triangle, as an interrelating triangle. When these triangles go on multiplying further and further, finally the shape you see is again spherical only. That was something which I did talk about it almost 25 years ago in my book Akash and Essence of Universal Consciousness. Now comes the question of water. We know very well it's also crescent shaped. Whether it's an ocean, whether it's a river, whether it's a stream, or whether it's a pond or lake or anything. It's a natural thing. The bottom will be the lower part and on top will be straight line, except at the corner you will slight increase of capillary pressure, and that is a structure beautifully done by the ancients themselves. They knew very well that water with the gravity would have this shape. The out you will have bottom and then straight. Brilliant by the ancient spheres as far as this symbol is concerned. Now comes the question of Prithvi, the fifth element, which is round itself. Our people knew very well it's round, but it could not be given a symbol as a round one because you cannot complete the same symbol 2 times. It's going to create confusion. So new symbol was created as a square one. We have used square as a symbol of earth element. We have also used swastik for that matter. A 4 corner 360 degrees is well known to the Indians by and large. The one which is turning right is a swastik, which is perfect value, not the reverse one. This particular thing was done very well. But one of my students asked me a question long back. How was this particular thing conceived? And I knew very well because this design was done by me in one of my earlier lives, and said, now I can see myself sitting on the head of the table, my student like you around, and asking me this question, and how I answered at that stage. Let me answer the same thing now. And I said, now do one thing, make a circle as such, 4 points at equal distance, make a square within that, and then put a dot in the center and put a pin. And now this particular square which you have, evolve it in a speed, you will see a beautiful structure which resembles circle or sphere itself. And now let me show you that in a physicalized form. Now these 5 symbols are there. Now you're going to see something much bigger than that. Now there comes the question of these symbols were designed earlier, then brought down one by one to the earth as we know of today. And descent of Mahashakti is also called descent of elements. And here, as the elements fall down, so does the Antaratma also falls down. Many people have spoken about it, but let me put it, different atoms, elements and molecules are known as gods and goddesses in different forms. Let's not get into confusion of that. All the elements as such, elements, atoms, molecules, which are very important, let me concentrate only on the vital important, let me not concentrate on all the periodic table. Now coming to restrict the chemistry to the one which human body is vital parts are important, which are required at different stage to understand. And from that the Indra, the king of God, is water and rain god. And with the rain the whole thing came down. This is also something very clear in Upanishads. The entire thing which came down was water, water and water, and 61 white. With the water only it has come down. Now as clarity comes back, with thunder, lightning, rain and all the essential elements came down from the cosmos to the ocean as a first step, because biological life had not started by that time. I am talking of the beginning of descent of elements before biological life started on earth. But biological life started in the warm saline waters of the ocean, where all the requirement of unicellular organism came from the ocean's saline, sweet, nutrited water, and after use all the things were thrown into water and it was done. But now today we are multi-dimensional, multicellular organisms. We cannot go to the ocean for requirements as an expulsion. But ocean was brought in the form of extracellular fluid and interstitial fluid, from which all the requirements of the body came, and that solution was almost as it was in beginning of ocean itself. That is an interesting thing, how we can bring spiritual science and modern science together and create a sequence step by step, so that we have a clear clarity for every child to understand. Let us not give a sectarian knowledge. Let them be perfect knowledge as a sequence, as the Akhand Sutra. And that is what is my objective. And that process of descent into ocean and then arising of elements from Sagar Manthan, our primary churning of ocean, our Samundar Manthan, is another interesting story which came next in the line. If you look at this particular picture, a churning of ocean, when gods and goddesses were there, they wanted to get Amrit, immortality for everyone. But how to get immortality? They say it is there in the ocean water, and they put Vasuki snake around Meru mountain and started churning, and all the things which are required for the element appeared one by one. They continue to appear. But in the picture in the beginning, there are only 14 elements were spoken about predominantly, and one of them was Amrit, and I say Amrit means pure water, and that's it. And all this element of the knowledge is there in Rasayan Vidya or Anu Vidya, which is in the periodic table. Now in this particular picture you can see very clearly I am talking about hydrogen, I talk about carbon, I talk about nitrogen, I talk about oxygen, then sodium, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, potassium, calcium, iron, iodine, magnesium, manganese, copper, zinc and molybdenum. These are the main elements which play a major role in the creation, sustenance and dissolution of the human body. And of course helium-4 is shown as human soul, which is Aditi. So within this particular structure we can understand the basic chemistry, elemental chemistry, and then go on to build to biochemistry later, organic chemistry to biochemistry. But this is something which I like to explain, how Sagar Manthan these particular things came up, and their molecules also, then compounds. Now, one particular thing which I want everybody to understand in this periodic table, there are only 7 periods. Again, something which I said, nature's everything is made of 7 parts. So you can see periods also 7 only from up down. You don't see more than 7. But when you say from left to right, you see 18 groups. That also says Adi Prashakti's 18 arms is what? So you see Adi Prashakti also there, you state. Is it a coincidence? No. When you make something perfect as a divine nature, you're going to see the same thing again and again in any form, provided it is perfect. That is what Akhandata is all about. That's the knowledge which I want the world to understand so that we have a perfect knowledge A to Z. Now, when come to the goddess Gayatri Lakshmi, which came from ocean, and I'm talking about precious metals like gold, silver, copper on one side, then electrolytes sodium, potassium, chloride, then healing metals like zinc, then catalysts like magnesium, manganese and molybdenum. These are the things which play important role in creation, maintenance and dissolution of the human body. These are the vital, which is called goddess Lakshmi, the wisdom, the power. It is not money alone. I want to make it very clear. Lakshmi does not mean money. Lakshmi means power of all the things which are required for us. We got to expand to that stage. Material wealth, atom, element, molecule, compounds, other things all fall into goddess wealth. Whereas the knowledge is Saraswati. And let's make it very clear. When it comes to dissolution, moksha, it is Parvati. Let's put it that way. That is where Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh also play an important role. They specifically talk about a particular concept. So now we understand goddess Lakshmi mean material wealth of atom, element, molecules and other things, not only money matter. Because everything is a wealth. And without that wealth, we can't do anything with a physicalized body. That is again something which I want people to understand. Don't think goddess Lakshmi is only for money. Now comes the Shank, the knotless shell is also a compound which is in Divyank ratio. And it is something which is made in the ocean by a biological life with the most perfect economical design which done, and ratio is Divyank ratio of 38.1966% and 61.8034. Length and breadth are Divyank ratio only. That's another something which they talked about in churning of ocean. Then Kamadhenu was another thing which they say came out. When say Kamadhenu mean, Kama mean all the needs which we need are given by this goddess, and I picture which is given is always of native cow. And I have related that with methane gas, CH4. And it was given to Bahari Ramesh to take care of all the requirements. So I can bring it to methane gas is required for cooking for that one side. And let me tell you from my understanding, cow dung of a methane crow contains 61.8034% methane only. And methane gobar gas can be used to produce heat. And Indians have been doing that from the very beginning. This is again ancient Indian wisdom in the light of modern science is talking of the same thing when it comes to the question of households and ashram and the need for methane or the gas by and large. You call it LPG, you call it any form. But I would still give more importance to methane than any other gas because the primordial one. And why important? Because number of protons in methane are 10 only. That's a perfect example of molecular level of the first stage. Let's put it that way. Second thing that came, which is Kalpa Vriksha, the celestial tree, but I am along with that tree plays very important. Methane plus oxygen put together lead to the formation of carbon dioxide and water is one part takes place. Plant absorb carbon dioxide and water, which is a product of methane plus oxygen in the universe, and then they produce glucose and other nutrients in the body which animals take. Then animals use glucose and oxygen and produce carbon dioxide and water, and this particular cycle is a beautiful reflection to maintain equilibrium. So carbon dioxide to oxygen, oxygen to carbon dioxide to carbohydrate, this whole structure is beautifully designed that animals also play an important role, so does the plants, so the human being, so the cells. Once we understand the picture very clearly, we will not call anybody a problem. We know what it is. And to maintain the equilibrium of the science of the atmosphere, Antariksh, this process is a beautiful example where methane plays an important role, oxygen plays an important role, carbon dioxide plays a role, water. Water has a 10 protons, carbon dioxide 22, oxygen has got 8, methane 10. That's a beautiful combination of chemistry which comes to the fundamentals A to Z. Next structure, all the plants and everything which came were made to take care of all the requirements of the physical body so that we don't fall sick. Once we understand Ayurveda, or Siddha Vedium, or naturopathy, or other natural processes of divinity throughout the world, you will find it is always herbs, herbs and herbs. And if you take herbs properly, which are, we human beings are frugal and fructivorous natures, we are not carnivorous, we are not omnipotent. And that is something which I understand. That's what makes me perfectly vegetarian without taking anything which is unnatural. And then use this ingredient the right way, I can tell you I am seeing a beautiful improvement in my health, as if I am going for reverse of aging process itself. Everything taken in right dose is perfect. Anything in large dose can be a poison. That's also something which Ayurveda talks about it. That concept which otherwise had taught me how to eat, how to live, how to do, is something Ayurveda needs to be given due importance, and that is what is this particular picture of Dhanvantari, our herbal physician of ancient Indian and modern science put together for preventive medicine. We should learn that. The next picture comes is Amrit. I have given a picture of Amarnath. Amar means immortality, the temple, which is like a snow form. And that is a beautiful representation of Shiva symbol itself, which is 11 by 7. I will not go into detail this. But at the same time, the picture down you see is Maharishi Bhagirathi wanted water, Akash Ganga water, for his relatives who were in a suspended consciousness. When Akash Ganga came down, Shiva was requested to hold in that, in hell, and then put on the west, which I call Indus River, Sindhu River. And Ganga starts from Vishuddhi Chakra or throat. And as a result, people what? And that shows that water is the one which is absolutely essential. Rehydration gives you life. Dehydration creates a problem. That's another message for the world. If you want to be healthy, wealthy, wise and happy, keep yourself fully hydrated to 61.803% water. Don't play with that concept, is something which I also say. Let's not get into the controversies. Let's talk of only perfection and leave it at that. We need to be perfect. Then there is another beautiful story of Nilkant, blue throat, which says when while churning, blue-black vapor started coming up. It started killing everybody. Everybody got scared. They went to Lord Shiva. He said, "You are the only one who has the Vishuddhi Chakra. You can purify everything. Please save us from that." Then he takes the poison into the bowl and starts drinking. As he is drinking, his consort Parvati put a snake around the neck. And is this a story, mythology, fiction or otherwise? And I said no. It's a greatest spiritual science of the highest order, where it's talking about halogen, iodine, which is the 53rd element. And when you take iron, go back to chemistry lab, it's a brown in color. Once you start heating on a flame, it becomes blue-black vapors. It starts flying. And when same iodine and tincture iodine used to kill organisms, it shows that iodine can kill. It kills. It is used as a microorganism even today for all the surgeries and all the treating throughout the world uniformly without any doubt. Then same iodine, when is taken into the body, it goes to thyroid and uptake to produce thyroid hormone, thyroglobulin, and which is essential to produce high temperature, not basal metabolic rate, not calorigenic, not BMR alone, not diabetogenic. It is thermogenic. That aspect I realize because Lord Shiva is known for tapasya. Tapas means heat. He lives in a cold place. His thyroid has to be perfect. Only then he'll have a strong aura around where nothing can affect him. From that angle, very clear. Now when I come to the question of explaining hypothyroidism, they have intolerance to cold, and hyperthyroidism intolerance to heat. So heat was there in clinical medicine, but nobody talked about it. But I'm glad of late new research has started coming that thyroid globulin works on breakdown products of protein and triglyceride convert into heat rather than ATP in the mitochondria. So science and spirituality also now becoming closer to produce. This is the wisdom which we need. My objective is use both ancient Indian wisdom and the best of modern science and show them as two sides of scan which we need to know. We have to be spiritual scientists for the benefit of the entire world. And that's the beautiful thing which came out of this picture, and I would say phenomenal thought processing, ancient in picture, which have made me think deep and give you something which is phenomenal. That is from Sagar Manthan, Smoother Manthan, are churning a primordial ocean. Now all that is finally given to this periodic table, which I'll say divine periodic table. The first trinity element which is seen, I make it very clear. It is hydrogen, carbon and oxygen are the three which are absolutely essential. These are the one which lead to the formation of carbohydrates and lipids. That's the first soul consciousness is helium-4. And first three inorganic molecules which are absolutely essential are made of three. One, methane is carbon plus 4 hydrogen, CH4, water HOH, again 10, methane 10, then carbohydrate CO2 is 22 protons. This is a beautiful deviant here again. Only two numbers which are standing out, 10 and 22. These are the first trinity which I talk about it, hydrogen, carbon and oxygen. And now let's talk about hydrogen as such. It's the first most abundant particle in the universe. So very clear, this is the most important, and I call it Aditya because in the sun it is hydrogen union lead to formation of helium, which is Aditi. And let me also now bring it together. In Rig Veda they say Aditi is the mother of Daksha and also the daughter of Daksha. That statement has never explained, and I said Daksha is king, but it is sun, and sun is hydrogen, Aditi is helium, and that is the formation which you see in the core of the sun, which I have explained over and over. This is again bringing the best of modern science, proton-proton nuclear reaction within the sun, which has 6,000 degrees centigrade within the core, producing hydrogen to helium, helium to hydrogen, proves that Aditi is the mother of Aditya and also daughter of Aditya, which Upanishads talk about it. And that's now again bridging that is what is the objective of Akhand Vidyashram, to make sure we should have knowledge from every angle, both mathematically inclusive, scientifically, physics, chemistry, biology, all the sciences, including spiritual sciences. And I'm not separating spiritual science because they're part of integrating within ourselves. And I make it very clear. The kind of knowledge which I am giving to the world is not from the books. It is the knowledge which is given by my Antaratma, helium, Aditi, one side, or Gayatri, Neon-21, or Adi Prashakti, Argon 40. They have given me the knowledge. Now I am trying to bring that knowledge in the light of modern science perfect divine mathematics, physics, chemistry and biology to bridge the gap, that this is knowledge which we need to teach every student in completely. Let us not divide them on any concept. Let us not divide them on irrational scientific approach or religious approach. Let's unite in such a way where only one picture comes out, which is impeccable wisdom. Now comes the question of second. The helium is the second most abundant in the universe after hydrogen, and it has got two protons, two electrons, two neutrons, and that's it. And this is indwelling soul, which I make it very clear, and I've explained that concept very clearly. Now come to the third thing, which is very important, is Agni, oxygen, fire element, and I relate that to goddess Vaishnavi or goddess Durga with 8 arms, Ashtabhujadari. Mean 8 protons, electrons are there in this, and this is the third most abundant in the universe, and is absolutely essential to start the process of formation of molecules from the beginning, as I've explained, and that's it. Now comes the question of fourth is the carbon, which is essential for organic life. And without carbon there cannot be biological life, and that's one part, and it is about 18.5% of the body's mass itself. This is the fourth in the line in presence, and it's an inert tetravalent non-metal thing which is absolutely essential to form most of the compounds are found with carbon and hydrogen, that is methane. Then carbon and oxygen as the carbon dioxide, both 10 and 22. And similarly for all the organic matters, carbon is required. Without that there is no biological, no organic life. So this brings the point, the important role which oxygen plays, which carbon plays, and which hydrogen plays, and which we should have today as a fundamental thing. From that angle, I think we are slowly inching close to bridge the gap between ancient Indian wisdom of Rig Veda, which talks of the atom, elements and molecules of highest order and make them at 33 crore Devi Devtas, is phenomenal. And the same conversion of Rig Veda into Aitreya Upanishad to form the compound of body of a cosmic Purusha, living divine consciousness in human form. And the description is so beautiful, so amazing. I have already given that in reorganizing or so-called 22 stages of reincarnations, when explanation is given so beautifully in that about the mind and different concept, food and other things. But there was something very hidden. What is Apana role in getting the food for the living being? And nobody had explained that, and I found it is only umbilical cord, which is both Apana for giving, throwing things from the fetus to the out, and taking things from mother to that is only that. So that descriptive way I could displace, and I make it very clearly, it is because of my Antaratma, not of any other prompting from any knowledge on the other. But other knowledge has made me to explain things concept and make into 2 and 2 22. That's the beauty, because my knowledge of divine mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology and all the 64 arts, the first 40 years of life was devoted only to understand impeccable wisdom. I could question from my childhood very clearly. That's the reason I keep saying, first 7 years, let the child grow the brain to the optimum, and then only start reflecting from their indwelling soul with the mind, sensory consciousness completely. Then only you could be simply intelligent. Otherwise, you'll have to mug without understanding. Mugging without understanding has no meaning in education at all. I want every child to raise questions and explain to them in so logically which has no difficulty in understanding the concept A to Z. That is the kind of knowledge which I am talking about. That's the kind of knowledge which need to give to the world hereafter. Now, how methane plays an important role and how things come. is in this particular picture. First chemical reaction of nature. Carbon plus 4 hydrogen is methane. The number of proton is 10, and that's how the whole process started. And how cows play, the young plays, how it gets converted, and what is Kamadhenu all about. Kamadhenu from ancient Indian scripture, and now this modern science picture which I have taken from internet with their permission, this is what it is all about. Once this is clear, I think we are understanding, bridging the gap, ancient wisdom of Kamadhenu and the might concept of methane gas and gobar gas and heat energy on the other side is what I am talking about. We need that kind of science with evidence which nobody can deny. Now comes to the water element. I made it very clear. The first solvent is nature, is water. It's a universal solvent. It has got all the properties you can think of. Only with water you can have the perfection binder. You have the polar bonding, and even surface tension can increase. And this is the only thing which can make life visible. All the chemical reactions take place with water, and only water this is. But here also I make it one thing very clear. When it comes to the cells, cells have been protected from water changes outside and inside by and large by providing bilayer, lipid bilayer of phospholipid thing. So water from outside cannot get inside, not inside can get out. So it is a barrier. So to do that we need something which energy, which also spoken about is ATP, sodium, potassium, ATP bond or solvent is again something which I have explained. We are going to now see everything in a very categorized way, step by step, to the extent which nobody would have any doubt thereafter. Next comes to the carbon dioxide. I have shown this is a picture which leads to the formation of even carbohydrates by and large. That is something which we need to understand, why carbon plays very important role, then why oxygen plays important role, what reaction takes place, what is the mathematical formula. Now we are bringing back to mathematical formula this, and this particular juncture let me add it. All the near planets like Mercury, Venus and Mars even today have 97% carbon dioxide. Even Earth had 97% carbon. It is only biological life started taking carbon dioxide and converting into oxygen. And that's it. Methane plus oxygen, carbohydrate taken by the plants and converted into oxygen. That circle is maintained. This beautiful design to make biological life very conducive on the earth. And that's it. Now same thing is very clearly talked in I3 of Prithvi, which I see. This one sample which I am giving it is from Rig Veda. God created 3 worlds. Means heaven, made of 7 parts, which is water. Then effulgence, atmosphere, which is air, Vayu. And of course Maram, the solid matter, which is earth. Earth, atmosphere and 7 heavens put together are 21 parts, and that is what I3 Upanishad is starting with. The first chapter is first section itself. That's amazing. Then how it goes on to classify further is amazing by and large for anyone. For that description, please go back to Reincarnation 22 stages and see the beauty. By and large is phenomenal. Then Ayurveda and Siddha Vedium are 2 Indian systems of science. I think they should be understood for preventive medicine along with the modern science, and I am making it very clear. Allopathic medicine, whether it's anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pathology, pharmacology, microbiology, have made our understanding of health and diseases very clear. I have nothing against anything, because I am myself a medical doctor, so many years experience, a pharmaceutical industry is 25 years, and research of that nature. I would say allopathy has made my understanding Ayurvedic better. Had it not been for both, I wouldn't have been able to do this particular work, because I understand both completely. But take the cream out of both and show the world which world can be used to make ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually perfect and become a walking, talking encyclopedia of impeccable wisdom, one and large. Once that is understood completely, only then we can live a life free from all the disease, immortal. We can talk of reverse of aging, one and all. That's it. Now, from Ayurvedic point of view, let me tell you this earth element, which has been very descriptively explained in my book Akhand and Essence of Universal Consciousness, how those parts are made of 7 parts: Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Vedas, Arthi, Majha and Shukra. Those are the concepts which are very clear to understand to make modern science much more classified. That's one part. Second part is what you see in mineral. Then I'm making one statement very clear. We human beings have evolved from atom, element, molecules, compound, cells, tissues, organ, 10 organ system to integrated body, and we can experience every change within the body, whether water, sodium, potassium, calcium, and whatever is required, body itself will tell us. Once you become to the sensitive, we will be able to live much more comfortably because we are listening to the self, and self itself will tell you what to do and what not to do. That's the beauty of Ayurveda, and I think we need to bring that concept to allopathic system for preventive medicine, which incidentally was very important when I was in medical college. But today we are talking about disease. We are teaching students about disease models. We are not talking with a perfect. That's where I come to play. We need perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry for prevention better than cure. Prevention is better than cure is my, and I independently making that so that the world is free from any disease. But when you fall sick, allopathy is always there. And for prevention, Ayurveda is there. For rehabilitation, alternative systems are there. Once we understand all the 64, things would be much easier for the world to proceed for impeccable wisdom on one side and perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, happy life on the other side. That is the objective of Akhand Vidyashram, which I am moving with. Now next comes the water element, what it plays and what kind of doshas it can produce is Kapha dosha, which is solid and water element. Put together are 5 different kind of doshas which I have written, which you can read leisurely when you start working or when we talk on this subject on Ayurveda at a later date. And then the fire element is the third one, which is heat is absolutely essential, and it can produce pitta, heat, liver problems. Kapha dosha is more throat problem or phlegm problem. Here it's the heat problem with a liver problem. And there are 5 different kinds of things which I am talking about. And once that is understood, I think things will be very clear how to build a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy life. Now the comes to air element is Vayu, which produces Vat, which is more into joints and joint kind of combinations. But the combination of Kapha, Pith and Vat should be understood to make us a perfectly healthy person. That is important at the end. That's it. Now, to bring all these elements put together, we have different aspects which are required to understand concept very clearly, and I have put this from yoga point of view. It is difficult to explain in one. You can read it leisurely or go back to Akhand Yoga, and all the 10 stages will explain to you very clearly about different aspects of 10 centers of consciousness within the body. And finally, all the representation from A to Z, from atom, element, molecules to this, to organized tissues, organ structures, both subtle and gross, we should understand both. We need to understand the gross anatomy. We also understand Tantra Vidya, which is subtle, which gross anatomy of allopathic system does not talk about it. Once we know both, a coordination of that can make us perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. And I think this is enough for the day. Thank you very much. Thank you once again. Thanks.